All right, good morning, everyone. I'd like to call to order the meeting of Judicial and Public Safety for August 16th, 2022. We have had a request to allow remote participation from members A under Section 7A of the Open Meetings Act due to employment purposes. So I'll take a motion to include him in the meeting. We have a motion and we have a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you, members A, welcome. Roll call, please.
Chair Renahan.
Here.
Member Chaplin.
Here.
Member Covert. Member Dessart.
Here.
Member Eckhoff. Member Garcia. Member Krajewski. Member Ozog. Member Pachowski. Member Schwarzy. Member Selman. Member Zay.
All right, great. We have a quorum. Do we have any public comment?
No, we do not.
All right, so this morning we are moving on to more budget presentations. So I'd like to thank Coroner Jorgensen and Clerk of the Circuit Court Adams for appearing here today to present your budget proposal for 2023. Our next JPS meeting, we are scheduled here from OHSEM and the 18th Circuit Court budgets. So before we start, I'd just like to recognize Director Diekman's efforts to educate municipalities on the importance of emergency resources before an emergency happens. So last week, he invited me into an informational session he held especially for DuPage mayors and managers. And he walked through many scenarios where OHSEM goes above and beyond to make sure that DuPage County is kept safe during events, weather situations, during voting integrity concerns, and just everyday concerns. So thank you to you and your team. I appreciate the outreach that you're doing on behalf of the county. With that, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of August 2nd, 2022.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great, that passes. All right, moving on to presentations. Without further ado, DuPage County Coroner FY23 budget presentation with Coroner Jorgensen. Thank you.
Good morning. I think it's on. Yeah. Good morning. I have sent you our budget proposal that we worked with finance on, and Mr. Kottmeyer. Basically, nothing has really changed in our office as far as some of the other changes that have occurred in the state's attorneys or sheriff's office. Most of our budget is salaries, and then with the non-salary things, we do three things. We pay for moving bodies, we pay for toxicology and examination of bodies, and extra pay for our non-salaried pathologists who often work on weekends and holidays. Those are the basic three other items that we do. Our major increase over this from this budget to last budget basically encompasses salary increases. And those salary increases are due to the fact that 10 of our 16 employees are unionized. The union contract expired in 2019 and was not signed until this year. So we have 4 years of 2% of all those employees. And then added to that, because of nuances of the previous contracts, our deputies have been falling quite a bit behind deputies in surrounding counties. And so we gave merit increases. We did an analysis of the area, worked with CFO Martinowitz and Nick Kottmeyer and Jennifer Sin, and gave merit raises to about 3/4 of our deputies to bring them up to what we consider to be par with surrounding areas. It's a very, very difficult job without me going into what we do, because it is difficult. These people, I think, deserve to be paid at least what they're getting paid in surrounding areas. see, Commissioner Krajewski came in, you had asked about special funds and such as that. We have two funds. We work out of the general fund, and we have a Coroner Fee Fund, which is a fund that was set up by the General Assembly to put money from when we sell or when we do cremation permits and other things that revenue comes in to our office. It by law has to go into a special fee fund, which is the Coroner Fee Fund. And with that, I will address any questions or comments. Yes.
Thanks, Rich. Are you at full staff right now? Or are you guys down?
We are in perfect, we are absolutely full staff, and we have, well, I shouldn't say that. The division assistant to the front desk person resigned a couple of weeks ago, and we have just gone through interviews, hired a new person. She's going to be starting next Monday.
And I'm glad we enhanced the pay for our deputies.
Yes. Like I said, it is a really difficult job, and right now we have the best staff that we've ever had, and I'm very happy with that.
Great. Any other, Member Krajewski?
Thank you. I was late coming in from chairing of animal services. So I know you're just talking about the salaries and equity adjustments.
Right.
That's great. Get your people paid. The one thing, because as I was looking at something for animal services, came across is your deputy coroner. I think the person that's in that spot is way over the class code maximum range. Can you just adjust that, move that class code up? Because
I would love to.
Okay.
Sometimes doing that is harder than it
Well, it
seems
doesn't
like
make
in
sense
this
because I run
conversation.
the issue that when you're maxed out at the max,
Right.
you can't get any more, except for the fact that your person is getting more.
Right.
So therefore, the class codes
Right.
can't be right. And I know that that's a very special
Right.
specialty because there's only a
I
couple
would-
hundred of these people in the
Yeah.
entire country. So it's just, and I don't say you can't do it. I don't know why you can't do it.
Right.
It seems to me that
Yeah.
everybody else on this campus can't get paid over the maximum of their class code.
Right.
Except we have somebody paid over the maximum. So that means the class code's probably not correct. They should be like a 319 instead of a 316.
I would say in general, because I know that the county is running into difficulties retaining people with the environment out there. I have two employees, possibly three, that are bumping out of their class code, and there's nowhere to go. So I think that I would say that I think that the county needs to address this by addressing these codes that are antiquated to the
Well, I think
post-COVID employment era.
I think that your job to come to us with the codes increasing. I mean, we've done that
Right.
in animal services,
Right.
and the only issue I think the county is concerned about is if it's the same type of position throughout the campus, and that may
Right.
cause a problem. But yours are mostly all unique. They're,
Right. Right.
There's nothing else in the county
Yeah.
that does the same type of work.
But there's nobody else in the country. If I could address that. So we have, just so everybody knows, we have a chief forensic pathologist. She is one of 550 board certified forensic pathologists in the country, not in Illinois, in the country. And I just went to at the NACO meeting, we addressed this. It's one of the critical issues in the country to keep and maintain these forensic pathologists. If we lost her, I don't know what we would do. And so, yes, I gave her a large merit raise when somebody was hired as a rookie in Lake County at a higher rate than she. And I talked to CFO Martinowitz and Kottmeyer. We looked at numbers and comparables. We gave her a big raise, and there's no, like you said, there's no number for her. There's actually nothing like her in the state. We're one of the only ones beside Cook County that has a full-time one. So
But if you move her to a 319, then she's in the range, or the person's position's in the range, and it doesn't create another problem, because it does, I think, create a problem with us when we're saying to other departments, other people, you can't go over the maximum for your class code, except we have somebody over the maximum of the class code. And I think it's just the class code's wrong.
Right.
So it makes an easy fix.
Yes.
And
well, I'm always willing to work with whatever we can do to retain her and all of our other good employees, and do it within some system that's acceptable to HR in the county. I'm happy to do that.
I would suggest when you send, if you haven't done already, because the elected officials are supposed to send their stuff by the end of August on merit increases and stuff. I would send in the class code changes also with those.
Okay.
I think it should be a combination of those.
Okay,
Thank you.
happy to try to do that.
Great, thank you. I think that's a great point, Member Krzyzewski and Member Ozak, yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What term or what years does the contract you reference cover? Is it 2022 to 2026? You said it was 4 years.
20 started this year, started last year, or wait, this year, I think. So it's a 4-year, I believe it's a 4-year contract from 20 to 20, wait, 22 to 24 was 19 to
Oh, it was
19.
retro.
It lapsed in 19.
Okay.
Okay. And so, so then we had to backfill all of the raises to when it lapsed. And then now we have a new contract in effect, I think until 26.
Okay. So you're not looking at that in the near future?
No, that's settled and done and signed, sealed, delivered. Yep.
Good. Glad to hear it.
Yeah. It's always difficult.
All right, great. Thank you. And thank you,
Thank you.
Coroner Jorgensen.
Okay.
I appreciate the work you do to make sure
Thank
with our opioid deaths that they're classified
Yeah.
properly. You take the extra step. Not all
Thank
counties
you.
do that. And I think that's so important.
Yeah, that's still unresolved and worsening. So anyway.
Thank you very much for being here today. I appreciate it. All right, and moving on to our Clerk of the Circuit Court, Candace Adams. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. Thank you to Chairwoman Renahan and JPS Committee for inviting us here today to present our budget. We won't be talking about moving bodies, but we are an exciting department. Before I get into the actual numbers of the budget, I thought a brief description of what we do may be helpful. First slide. The Clerk of the Circuit Court is a wonderfully unique office that is quasi-judicial, quasi-legislative. Our primary function is to keep the record for the court. It is a separate and distinct office from that of the Circuit Court. We do, however, enjoy an incredible working relationship with Chief Judge Popejoy and Suzanne Armstrong and collaborate on many projects together. Because of our unique identity, we are governed by many rulemaking bodies, including the Illinois Supreme Court, the administrative offices of the Illinois courts, local court rules, state statutes, and the county. Accordingly, we work with many stakeholders and departments throughout the county and state. We are very fortunate to have a strong working relationship with the state's attorney, Bob Berlin, and his team, as well as public defender Jeff York and his team, among many others. Many of the efficiencies of the 503 and 505 buildings can directly be attributed to the fact that we all respect each other and work well together. Since I only appear before you in this context once a year, I think it would be helpful to highlight the great happenings in our office and some of our challenges. I would like to start with our biggest challenge. As many of you know, Illinois now has a statewide e-filing system. This system was not wanted by DuPage, as it has set us and the filing community back in many ways. Nonetheless, we were mandated to implement it, and so we did. The e-filing system was developed and is managed by Tyler Technologies. I cannot stress enough how many problems Tyler has created for our office. From court files or court records missing file stamps to statewide outages, if it has to do with e-filing, we likely experience a problem with it because of Tyler. Our office has spent more man hours than I care to count identifying problems and then identifying the solutions. I am telling you this because I think as a county, we should be mindful of this company as it has had an extremely negative impact on our office. But now on to the highlights. DuPage County has much to be proud of when it comes to the Clerk of the Circuit Court's office. Staff in our office like Bob Keltner, Lisa Goodwin, Jeff Davies, and Craig Larson are often called upon by other counties throughout the state and by the AOIC for help with answers to questions they have. Our accounting department is one of the larger accounting departments in the county. Based on collection, we pay out in between $40 to $50 million annually. Of course, the Safety Act and the elimination of cash bail will cause a reduction in the amount of money that comes through our doors. Staff for this department has already been reduced through attrition to accommodate for what's to come. Also noteworthy, since taking office, we turned over all required unclaimed funds, or approximately $3.5 million, to the state as statutorily required. Under Julie Ellison's leadership, we were able to do this for the first time in office history. Our office is audited every year separately by Baker Tilly, and once again, the auditor found us to be in compliance on every issue, which is no small feat for the amount of money that we collect. Our IT team is led by Kevin Baskey. The number of projects that our IT department works on daily cannot be given adequate acknowledgement in this short presentation, but I'm going to try. What they can do is beyond impressive. I would put this IT team up against any other IT team, public or private sector. Here are just a few highlights from the last year. They have developed and implemented a new traffic court application in all traffic courtrooms. Sam knows about that one. This has allowed us to no longer purchase traffic court file folders, roughly a $20,000 annual savings. More importantly, this intuitive system has allowed us to keep a much cleaner and more legible record. They have set up texting notification. Now, anyone who wants to receive texts about upcoming dates is eligible to sign up. We hope this will decrease the number of incidents where people forget to show up to court, provide additional resource to other departments like the Public Defender's Office, Probation, and the State's Attorney's Office, and provide more accessibility to the courthouse. They maintain our case management system, including all electronic forms. Our system is homegrown and unique to DuPage County. It is tailored to meet our court system and houses millions of documents. It is more complex and comprehensive than any other CMS throughout the state, arguably. And finally, and very costly, the team oversees a robust disaster recovery program. We are the wind beneath the circuit court's wings, and to fly, our system must be working, and the redundancy involved to make sure that happens is mind-blowing. Our counter and courtroom teams are led by Director of Operations, Julie Kappa. She and her team is one of the main reasons why I can stand in front of you today and tell you that I have agreed to drop our headcount from the allotted 163 to 150. Her efforts to cross-train employees and to maximize the talents of our people have led to a decrease in the number of team members needed. Our workforce is better skilled and more efficient than it was 2 years ago. Last but not least, we have also seen significant changes in our HR department. With the help of John Persichiti, our office has revamped and brought up to date every single office policy and has issued our first business professional unisex dress code. Mercifully, the rule requiring all women to wear nylons is now off the books. Last but not, as I hope I'm making clear, a lot happens in the Circuit Court Clerk's office. If you have not yet visited us, you're always welcome to. I love taking people on tours. I'm so proud to be a part of this team. This is off script, so my staff over there might get nervous. It's awesome. We have books that date back to the founding of our county. We house the evidence for the court system. It truly is a unique and wonderful department, and I invite you all to come if you've not yet been. Now on to the numbers. All right, next slide. Let's start with our projection for next year's revenue. Our office gets revenue from a variety of sources: case filing fees, traffic tickets, and most fun, weddings at $10 a ceremony. Just a few examples. Almost all of the money we collect gets paid out to other entities like the general fund, state accounts, police agencies, and other agencies. While case filings are up 8% from last year and are up 15% from the year before, you will notice that we are projecting a $2 million reduction to what gets paid out from our office to the general fund. This is our best estimate as to the impact the removal of cash bail will have on the general fund account. Other accounts beyond general fund will also see a reduction in revenue. Next, on to our expenditures. Next slide, please. As you can see, we are requesting an extra $353 over last year. This is less than a 5% increase from last year's adopted budget. Approximately $90,000 of that increase is attributable to the expenses that Finance Department has asked us to account for starting this year. The rest of our request is related to increasing salaries in the office. We are working with Finance Department closely to analyze our salary structure, but we anticipate a need for a minimal amount of additional funding under our salary line item. Our office has not been immune from high turnover, and we are experiencing many of the same staffing issues that other departments throughout the county have already outlined for you. Thank you again for your time today. Now, members of my staff and I will take any questions that you have. Okay, great.
Right, Vice Chair Michalski.
Thank you. I want to appreciate your comments about Tyler, because I think if our e-system isn't working and we need to be, I would be, rather be more proactive than not. Is there anything we can do through a state's attorney or something? I mean, because I thank you for your openness and honesty, how bad they were, because that was something you didn't have to say, but I would like to aggressively go after it, because if you're not happy with it and they're not doing their job, then let's persist in doing something and be more proactive than just complaining.
Yeah, we have actively worked with the AOIC. We have put Tyler Technologies on notice for any security breach that they may cause to our office because of their programming. So we have taken a lot of proactive steps. Tyler knows. Tyler visited us last week. That they did their first on-site visit in a very long time to see if they could fix some of the problems that were happening there.
We pay them a fee, don't we?
We don't pay them anything. The state pays them.
My other question is, we always look at fees and costs, and a lot of times we don't look at fees and costs for 10, 15, 20 years.
Right.
And in my opinion, every at least 5 or 6 years, we ought to do that. Are there any fees and costs that you think have been, something we should look to maybe increase because they haven't been increased in 15, 20 years? Or?
The honest answer to that question is a lot of our fees compared to other counties are higher than most counties. Not necessarily as high as Cook County, but they are high. So we do routinely, especially when legislation changes, review those fees, fines, and costs. A lot of it, at least on the criminal side, is covered by the CTAA. So we do constantly look at what we're charging and how we can charge differently.
My last question is, you said your staff is 150, you have supposed to have 163. Are you down 13, or you just made do with 150 where we don't need the 163?
We have, through attrition, not replaced a lot of staff members. And we think 150 is the more appropriate level for the office than 163.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, Member Ozog and then Member Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I want to thank you for your presentation for 2 particular points. I really appreciate how you called out various staff members. That's really important, and I appreciate that. And you've also made me remember when I was allowed to wear slacks to 11th grade by reducing the nylon requirement.
It's a big deal.
It is. I mean, it's something that people don't understand unless you've been forced to wear nylons or skirts to a job.
Right.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, Member Garcia and then Member Eckhoff.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your presentation today. I really appreciate it. And I have to echo what Member Ozog said. Calling out your staff and giving them kudos when they just so deserve it is unique sometimes in this day and age. So I want to thank you for that. I'm glad you have such good staff that's helping you support yourself in this. 2 questions. A little concerned about the Tyler Technologies. It sounds like it's a terrible thing. I feel like this is not the only department dealing with Tyler. For some reason, I think the treasurer's office has Tyler.
So Tyler, yeah, they do have, they do a lot in the public sector, and they have different departments. So I think our treasurer's office does use Tyler Technology, and how that's going, and they may be having a very different experience than what we're experiencing here. I can just speak from the court's perspective.
Correct. And I'm not being on the spot. I was kind of, there's a question maybe for Nick and trying to get some kind of update on the treasurer's office and seeing how that's going. It hasn't been implemented yet. Okay, so maybe we should rethink that then.
Sorry, could I respond with the technology chair?
Yes, I'd like to call on our Chair of IT. I think she's got a response on the Tyler.
I really appreciate your feedback, and you've given a lot of feedback during committee because it allowed us to plan our project better. I think we can speak frankly that Tyler Technologies' reputation is not the best, but they're kind of a monopoly. If you want to do these sorts of projects, moving our treasure stuff from the mainframe into the 21st century, they were the best option.
Okay.
But we hired a separate project manager to help accommodate some of that, to make
So
sure
that will
we've
help
kept them on time, that they're not, because especially the biggest issue, we want to make sure the timing doesn't affect our treasurer's ability to collect taxes. That would be pretty bad. So making sure we had a project manager to essentially accommodate for their problems was really helpful for us. I don't think you guys had the same opportunity because it's a state project. If it was a county project, I bet you guys probably would have used the same sort of thing, but you're sort of stuck with a monopoly. So I desperately hope someone looks at Tyler Technology and realizes they could do the business better and starts doing so, because we're not the only county, the whole state. Everyone who uses Tyler has a list of things they wish they did a whole lot better. So thank you.
That's good to know. And then one more question. I did take your tour of the circuit court. It
Yeah.
was a bit a while ago, but and one thing that I was just amazed at was all the documents in the basement that are
Yeah.
being stored. And I was just wondering, what's the update on trying to get those saved so that they're the one thing that I was down there was concerned about was we've got the water pipes going overhead, that if there was an accident, you know, they'll be lost forever. So I'm just wondering how that's going.
Yeah, so it's going well. And you'll see there's another agenda item coming up for HOV to do more offsite scanning of those documents, to make them more remote, or available remote and available electronically. So we are diligently working on those as much as we can, as much as HOV can keep up with getting all that offsite scanning scanned.
All right, member Eckhoff, and then Krajewski, and then Chaplin. Thank you.
Well, I just wanted to recognize your staff and wanted you to recognize that how lucky you are to have them, including the three that are here now.
Yeah.
Lisa Goodwin, I talk to them a lot, and it means you don't have to talk to me. So, and they do a great job of problem solving. I just wanted to talk about Tyler Technologies for a few minutes. Your predecessor had another filing system that we thought was superior to Tyler. We got a 4-year exemption from the Supreme Court before having to implement Tyler. And Tyler is mandated by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court justices vote on it and they made it statewide. And before we were required to adopt it, Chris Katsarubis and I tried to get in to see Justice Thomas, who officed in Whedon. And he wasn't able to see us on Monday. So I made a speech on the board floor about exactly what you said. Tyler Technology, if you Google them, are sued nationwide by everybody about their court filing system. And I had a lot of reservations about it. Unfortunately, they made the paper on Wednesday. And then I'm sitting on my desk and the phone rings and we've got caller ID and I see Illinois Supreme Court come up. And I was like, oh boy, I'm in trouble now. And it was Justice Thomas, and he said he's only got one vote. So it was not a unanimous thing with the Supreme Court to take Tyler, because there's a lot of people that know that they don't do well. And that's why I had reservations when we adapted them for the treasurer's office. So our prior system was better than that. And that's why we got a 4-year exemption, hoping that Tyler would catch up with us. But the Supreme Court, God only knows why, pick Tyler instead of the system we already had. And Tyler does, when we make if I file something, or Sam or Don file something, they get what, 25 cents per filing, the filing fee. So
They don't, do they?
who gets the 25 cents?
I don't know how much they get
Let's say
exactly.
you,
I thought it was a contract with the state where the state pays them so much annually, but I mean, I'm not saying that that's not true. I
well,
will say we do still have that other system, I2 file, which is used for criminal filing still. They've not been allowed to move over to the criminal sections yet. They've only been allowed,
Yeah.
at least in our office, to stay with the civil sections.
I'm pretty sure every time I file a citation, a petition or something like that, there's like, your office charges $50 and then there's a 25-cent fee.
That could be answered.
And I think Tyler is just making money hand over fist and doing a lousy job at it, but there's nothing we can do about it because it's all decided by 9 or 7 people down in Springfield called the Supreme Court justices.
All right, thank you for those comments. We're going to go member Krajewski, Chaplin, and then we're going to move on because we still have the whole agenda in front of us.
Thank you. I just had 2 quick questions.
Sure.
I know your best guess is we're going to be down 2.2 million in revenue because filings and the no cash bond.
Right.
I think we budgeted this current year 3.9 million. Do you know what your best guess is as far as where we're going to finish this year? I assume we're probably going to be under what we budgeted.
Under what we're budgeted, we won't be under what we budgeted.
So we should potentially get the full.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll be pretty close.
Thank you. And then the second question is, it's more on the expense side. I know it's just, yes, 4.4% increase over last year's budget. Do you know where you think you're going to finish actually this year? Not versus budget, but actually?
We'll be
Because I know
closer.
you mentioned you had like 163 positions that maybe were budgeted for. You've been running at 150, which you're probably not going to
Mhm.
fill, which means I assume that big number in last year's budget won't be needed. But I'm
No,
just
we
trying
will
to-
be very close
So
to
you're
what
gonna
was
be-
budgeted last year.
So your budget, you'll be very close to actual.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Well, excuse me. Thanks so much, Candace, for coming.
I appreciate your, you're bringing down your headcount, you're using technology to your advantage and not just hiring. And you're making all the right adjustments, and, working to get your employees up to where they need to be. So, good job. Thank you so much for coming out and, doing a really great presentation for us. Thank you.
All right, great. Well, thank you, Circuit Court Clerk Adams. I think, your passion shows through. I appreciate that. And I think you've been a great team leader. So thanks so much. And with that, I will do my best auctioneer to go as fast as we can through this. I'll take a motion to approve JPSP 23522 recommendation for approval contract HOV services for off-site document scanning for the Circuit Court Clerk's Office, $273,884.10. We have a motion and a second. Questions here? All in favor? Any opposed? That passes. I'll take a motion on JPSP 23622, contract purchase order to Agilent Technologies for an insert extractor ion for the Sheriff's Office Crime Lab, not to exceed $111,044.72. We had a motion and we had a second. Questions here? All in favor? Any opposed? That passes. Take a motion on JPSP 23722, contract purchase order to Kruger International for audience seating for courtrooms 2004, 2009, 2018, 3004, 306, and 3009 for the court, $111,746.40. Need a motion and a second. Questions here? All in favor? Any opposed? Great, that passes. I'll take a motion on resolution FIR 32022, acceptance and appropriation of the Violent Crime Victims Assistance Program for the state's attorney, $18,996. We have a motion in a second. Questions here? All in favor? Any opposed? I'll take a motion on item 9A, a budget transfer, $20,000 to cover costs of higher anticipated use of experts for the public defender. We have a motion in a second. Questions here? All in favor? Any opposed? That passes. I'll take a motion on 9B, budget transfer. This is probation and court services to Kruger International for replacement. This is for the audience seating.
So moved.
Motion in a second. All in favor? Any opposed? That passes. Take a motion on 9C, budget transfer for probation and court services. This is moving $100,000 to reclass funds and pay for GPS. No motion in a second. Questions here? All in favor? Any opposed? That passes. Take a motion on 10A, change order county contract 5268-0001, issued HOV services to decrease and close for $129,824.94 for the Circuit Court Clerk. Motion in a second. All in favor? Any opposed? That passes. Take a motion on change order 10B JPSP 361A-21, amendment to resolution JPSP 0361-21 for Sentinel Offender Services due to an increase in probation and pretrial cases, increasing the contract and amount of $100,000 for probation and court services. We have a motion and a second. Do you have any questions or comments here? All in favor? Any opposed? Passes. Take a motion on change order 10C JPSP 68A-21, approval of amendment to resolution JPSP 6821, amending a purchase order to Trinity Services Group to provide inmate and officer meals for the jail. This contract covers the period May 1st, 2021 through April 30th, 2022, increasing in the amount of $34,411.27 for the sheriff. A motion. Do you have a second? Do we have a second? Yes. Questions here? All in favor? Any opposed? Great. Moving on to travel. 11A, I'll take a motion on authorization for overnight travel for OHSEM Operations
Second.
Coordinator to go to Springfield, September 6th through the 9th, to attend IEMA Training Summit. The county cost is $196.75 plus $15. No motion in a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Great, that passes. I'll take a motion to combine items 11B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. These are all OHSEM reservists to go to Peoria, September 9th through 11th to do National Guard exercises. There is no cost to the county on any of these items. So we have a motion to combine. All in favor? Any opposed? Great. That passes. I'll take a motion to then approve. As I said, these are all the same position, the same trip, all going the same places. Yes. Yes, I think the understanding is we're trying to fortify our National Guard reservists. Did you want to say anything, Director Diekman?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, this is a Illinois National Guard exercise with various communication assets from around the state. And we provide 2 of our communication vehicles and 7 of our volunteers or reservists, as we call them, to go down there for this operation. They'll be in a couple of different cities, less than a mile apart.
Certificate they get from this that we have for these people, or it's just attendance at this?
They attend, sir, and sometimes there's an after action report. In this case, it's a National Guard exercise, so they would prepare the report and that becomes part of our records and also helps with our accreditation requirements. Thank you.
All right, great. Any other questions? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great, those all pass. And then we have a quick, moving on informational, we've got a quick campus security update. Is Chief Briggs? Yes.
Good morning. I'm going to try to get through this as best I can. Voice is kind of gone, but we'll do what we can. I just want to give you a little bit of an update on the security projects that we're working on over the last 6 months or so. So the first one, if you've noticed going through the hallways, we've removed the windows from different departments to make them transitional. So almost like bank tellerish, so that we don't have as many people, the public going into the departments. So all the transactions are being done in the hallway. So that controls our access. So that helps us with that. That seems to be going over very well. Some of the electeds and some of the departments use it periodically. There's a couple of departments that use it all the time. So it's a definite benefit to control some of the access. We've been talking about the camera program for 6 years. It was a 6-year project to replace all the cameras here on campus. We were fortunate enough to get enough money this year to complete the project. We're on the last phase of the project. And the reason we went to a 6-year is because we didn't want to be replacing all the cameras 6 years later. So 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and try to work it along. So really it's a camera replacement and a maintenance program. So we're on our last phase right now. We're going to be hitting the biggest building right now and the workers will be in there. We did have a little bit of a delay, but not much on materials, but we were able to get all our cameras and we become their priority to complete the project. And the last one, we had 2 large security projects here on campus where we changed departments. We kind of made them a little bit more secure. So one is completed. That's the one near the auditorium. We completed that project in beginning of June. And right now we're going to be getting the bids back for the front entrance. So the front entrance has turned into a bigger project just because we can do more at the same time and save some money. So it'll be a new security desk at the front. The doors are going to change, access in and out will be changed. We'll have a lot more control there. We'll be putting in disabled ramps for our disabled to make it a little easier for them to get in the building, and we're going to be doing some stairs. So that project just kind of kept on growing because we're working on that whole front entrance. And that's pretty much the extent of what we've been doing in the last 6-7 months.
Thank you for that. Do we have any questions, member, to start?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know that the entrance from the parking garage to the building was blocked off, used only for employees because of the COVID pandemic. I'm getting a lot of feedback from constituents who want to come to our board meetings. They can't park in the parking garage because that entrance is blocked. Now that we're moving into the next phase kind of the pandemic where restrictions are lowered, I'm wondering if that parking garage access will be open to citizens anytime soon. Thank you.
If you're asking me, I'd like to keep it closed. I like that to be an employee entrance. Certain events, we will open it up. For example, when the court clerk had her event, we opened it up, we staffed it, and we were able to bring people in. But the goal is, especially with the new front entrance, is that we control the public access. And I would like to go down to one entrance for the public and then the entrances for the employees.
You know, I understand that, but it's inconvenient for the public. I mean, parking out front is limited, whereas parking in the garage is almost always open. So it's really inconvenient for my constituents. Just,
You know,
No, I understand.
You know, I just like to say, we did have a study done, Vice Chair Bachowski and myself asked for it, and that was actually something that was flagged as not a safe item, so that it was preferred to keep less points of access to the public. I understand your point. I totally get it. But I think we're also looking at security of the building and employees, and, you know, here we are a public body, and it's unfortunately something we have to take a look at.
And if I could just add, anything that we do in the security field is going to be, procedures are going to have to change for employees, general public, and are going to be inconvenient, and we're going to get complaints. It's just what it is.
Thank you. I think I see Member Krajewski.
One quick question, but to pick up on member to start, maybe just have it open on Tuesday for the public when board meetings are here.
And we could do that. Actually,
But
whatever the
that's fine,
board would
just
like, we could do.
suggestion. My question was, you talked about the cameras, we're getting all those replaced. We got the license plate readers?
Yes,
So they out there now?
yes.
Okay, good, thank you.
And actually, I'll be using one probably on something I'm working on right now.
Member Cover.
Madam Chair, no, I do appreciate the security measures that you're putting in place. Even for Tuesdays with, you know, it is important for constituents to come to the meetings, but you know, you just want to have preventative care and make sure that, you know, what if there is somebody that doesn't like a board member or, you know, staff or somebody, we just want to make sure that everybody's safe. So thank you for that.
No, I mean, I agree. And, you know, we try to be, if you've noticed, a friendly security department. You know, we're not as strict as maybe you see most. That's part of what we do.
All right, thank you, Chief Briggs. I appreciate the
Thank you.
update. I just didn't want to see this project languish, so I want us on record that we're going to be rocking and rolling by the fall. So, all right, I'll take a motion to receive and place on file the item 12B, which is the DuPage County Jail 2021 inspection report. A motion in a second. Questions or comments here?
Just
Member Chaplin.
thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a great report. It gives us a lot of insight into, you know, what's going on at the jail. I'm just wondering who completes the report? Is this filled out by our staff, or does somebody from the state come and check it? I'm just curious, how is that completed? Does anybody know?
Jason, do you want to answer that?
Somebody might be on sheriff's office.
Do you have anyone on from the Sheriff's Department?
My understanding is this is a state inspector that comes in and does this report and submits it. However, I'll confirm that with the sheriff's office.
Great, thank you. And I just wanted to point out one of the items on here regarding the commissary, because it had a section about the commissary. I'm trying to pull it up here. I know it's kind of near the end. But it mentioned the use of the commissary money. And I know we had talked about just DuPage in our budget. But the commissary sounds like the perfect funding vehicle for just DuPage. So I think as we go back and look at our budget, we might want to consider having the commissary pay for just DuPage, because I can't think of a better, you know, anything that fits what they're supposed to be funding, using those commissary funds for. So just a topic when we go back to the budget with the sheriff's office. I just had one other question. It said that there was outside access for the detainees. But other than the garden, I'm not sure what other outside access there is. So if we can get some information on that, because from what I was under the impression, there was no outside activities for anyone other than the garden. So if they weren't in that program. So just for some clarification on that.
Okay, great. Yeah, maybe we can have somebody from the Sheriff's Office get back to us on that. I did note that too on the report. I think it said it checked yes for they get 5 hours outdoor recreation. I don't know if that's quite the case
Right.
currently. I don't know.
Right. So, yeah.
But sure.
Because I'd be like, I just like that to know that. And then, like I said, and I think when we go back and revisit the budget for the sheriffs, I think that we should really consider putting just back, you know, coming out of the commissary funds.
Okay,
So,
great.
that's it.
Member
Thank you.
Krajewski.
Just, if I guess if the sheriff's gonna look at that, I think at least what somebody has told me, maybe from finance, was again, like the clerks was just in front of us, court filings are down, their revenue's gonna be down, but I think the Safety Act is also coming into play in the commissary fund because there won't be as many people with no cash bail in there. So I think they may think there's going to be a substantial decrease in that fund. So their projection, and we may not know what that is for a year, what that number is going to be. But I think that was the big thing, is we don't know what the drop off is going to be because of not having as many people.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's great. We're actually going to have Justin to have this conversation. I mean, I think we all received the county auditor's report. There's well over $1 million in that commissary fund, more than enough to last for several years. So I think maybe, you know, we tackle an issue when we're there instead of guessing what that issue might be in 2 years. But, you know, that's why we're here to talk about it, and we're going to hear from Just, and we'll go from there. All right. So any other comments on this report? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you. Let's move on to old business. Do we have any old business? Yeah, I just want to say something. Half an hour is not enough time for this committee, and I've just had it. I mean, you know, I do my best to do 30 minutes time, but we've got to be 45-minute or an hour-long committee because we've got a lot of people, and a lot of people want to talk. And I think that I just like that for the record stated. Yeah, I mean, it backs up. Yeah, it backs up everything. It backs, and I don't want to disrespect everybody behind me and all the committees that land behind. So I do apologize, and I just think this is something in the future that needs to go. The other thing I wanted to mention was a member Desart had wanted to have a red flag presentation as to what is going on with restraining orders in Illinois. And we are going to do that probably in the fall due to state's attorney when he is available. But we are going to have that conversation. I think we had some handouts. Is it on everybody's desk or? Okay, just to kind of give some good information from state's attorney Berlin as to what we are doing. It sounds like pretty proactive here in DuPage, but to tide us over until we actually get to hear from him. So any other old business? Any new business? All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Right. All right. Thank you.